Good evening. Welcome to Easy 8 Online Painting Club. My name's Danny. Says it right down there at the bottom of the screen. If you've been keeping up with Easy 8 on Facebook, you'll know that I've come down quite poorly with COVID-19. So this evening was touch and go as to whether I was actually going to be able to present the show at all. I'm here. I feel good. It has taken me all day to get to the energy levels to be able to turn it all on and have a go. So here I am, with the best of interests, ready to do some painting. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep it up, but I'll go for as long as I can. I reckon I'll be able to make the 2-hour mark, so I'm just going to keep it nice and slow and calm and quiet. And I've got a couple of people that have joined us in the live chat over there. I've got Jeff, who's my dad. Hi. And I've got Luke as well. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for coming along. Genuinely didn't expect to have anyone here tonight. But yeah, I've kind of got to do it. It will keep me sane for a start because I am proper poorly today. Yesterday was all right, losing the plot a bit towards the end of the day. As if you were to watch my last announcement, like I was not making sense at all. It was like I was drunk and I wasn't. But yeah, I've got to do something. So I've just sat down and just watched TV and chilled out and drank lots of fluid and stuff and just trying to be cool. So yeah, I get to do a little bit of hobby stuff. I've been working on my 40k Tyranids recently. I said last week that I didn't want to do too much more on them, if anything, if I can get away with it, or on the particular one that I've been doing, which is the Carnifex model. She's looking really good. I did a little bit more on her at the end of last week's show, so I stayed on for a good few hours on Discord in the Easy 8 after party last week. I was joined by quite a few people. Stafford, who joined us in the live chat on some shows, and here's Stafford right now. Hi Staff, nice to see you. He says, hey Sick Bug, how are you holding up? Yeah, I'm doing all right, man. I'm just gonna take it nice and easy. Normally I'm like, yeah, just chat lots of rubbish all the way through and just see what happens. Today that is not going to be happening so much, so relying on you guys to keep the chat going. See what happens. I feel good. Like I'm happy. Like I'm okay. Just it's in the chest today, it's in my throat, and I've had pneumonia some years ago, and that's left me quite feeble when it comes to chest things, so I'm very cautious. Yeah, so what was I saying? Last week on the Discord chat, I stayed on there for ages last week. There was Chris that came and joined us, Stafford came and joined us. We had a great time. I think it was just us two. Was there more? Feels like a million years ago. We just stayed there and chatted for ages, and I did lots of test painting things, colour schemes on my Tyranids in general. I had a great time, but I wanted to move on from that. I don't like to keep on doing the same thing all the time on the show. So this week I am going to be painting some little miniature 50mm tanks, which are just down here on the side, because last Wednesday loads of us got together, Stafford included. We played a game of What a Tanker, which is a game typically played with 50mm tanks that you could play in any scale you wanted. And we had a great time. So Stafford's first go, there was a couple of us that were playing, and it's kind of psyched me up to want to at least get a layer of paint on them. So that is going to be tonight's task. I've got quite a few to get through, and that's all I'm really planning on doing, is just putting some paint on them, having some fun, using the airbrush, chatting to you guys, keeping the show going, because I grew up in the theatre, the show must go on. And if I feel rubbish halfway through, I'll just call it. But hey, you're here to keep me company, that's all that matters. If you are new to Easy 8 Online Painting Club, it's not a tutorial by any stretch of the imagination. It is really just a place that people can get together, chill out on the live chat over there with these cool guys, and get your stuff painted, maybe looking for some inspiration, maybe looking for just motivation. That's what I'm here for, is the motivation today. So if you do like what we do, you could probably pop along to Facebook, or to, no, wrong way, Instagram, or whatever, drop us a like, drop us a follow, and of course subscribe to the channel here. Makes a lot of difference to me, makes this channel really worth it. And recently we've had some more subscribers, and I've been talking to those guys over on Discord because they joined the Easy 8 after party. So if you're watching live now, or if you're watching on replay later on, it's great to have you along. So thank you so much for subscribing, thanks so much for coming along. It really makes my day that people are interested in what we do here. Yeah, cool. Jeff says, paint the KVs. Yeah, someone's been keeping up with me on the Facebook page. I've got quite a selection of tanks to paint today. Unfortunately, the KVs won't be painted today, but I will show you them. Let me just take you over to the workbench. Here we go. Cool. So, just to give you a quick idea, this is my Carnifex that I was painting last week. There's very little left to do on here. I highlighted all the little spikes on his back. They're all looking cool. I will do them differently in the future. They still look a little bit yellowed, but they're better than they were. I did the eyes last week, or the eye, but the guns have eyes as well. I hope to improve eyes as I go on. I highlighted the fleshy, muscly bits in the crabby claw things here because if you remember last week I was saying that I thought that the pink was too dominating, so I wanted to tone them back. And that was just a simple case of just dry brushing them ever so gently with a little bit of Screaming Skull, which is an off-white colour. Yeah, she's almost there. Got to do the stacks on her. Kind of, put a bit of black on them and tone them in a little bit. And then there's some pipes on the guns as well, which, especially on the smaller details, kind of blends in with the pink on the muscles or whatever it is that I do. The fleshy bits, exposed fleshy bits, and I didn't want that to be the case. So I was just on Discord last week. I was practicing with these colours, and this is what I ended up with. This is going back to my Tyrannofex, which is a model that I'm disgusted with because I just use it for paint scheme practices, so it's nowhere near what I would like it to be. But what I was practicing on is this really huge piece of kind of horrible looking sack thing underneath the gun and the arm, and I painted it a flesh colour, and I stained it with a wash, a shade from Citadel, which is the Crimson Carabao Crimson, and I put that through the airbrush and just kind of guided it where I wanted it to go to, and it came out really, really well. I stuck a bit of gloss on it, and I'm going to play with a few more techniques on there. The gloss, I like the way that the gloss kind of works. It makes it look slimy. I'll tone the gloss down a little bit eventually, but the gloss is initially on here so that I can use the washes and the shades with a bit more finesse because they run around a bit better on a glossy surface. I'll probably put a bit of violet in there, but I like the overspray on the arm here. I don't know if that really picks up quite well on the arm because obviously his skin will be yellow. But I like the overspray of the crimson, and it kind of makes it look sore or tender, or just gives it a really nice kind of blending in there. So I'll darken down some of the recesses and some of the edges with a tiny bit of a violet, and I'll try and highlight up a little bit, and it looks kind of fleshy, not pussy, but just gross, frankly. So that was last week. That was really cool, really happy with that, but I've got to try and translate that to a smaller detail because on the Carnifex it's only these tiny little pipes, and it just looks very similar to the pink, which I don't want it to be. So that's what I did last week. Excuse me, I've got a cough. That is going to happen throughout the show, but hey, that's what we're here for. Not the coughing, the show. Cool, let's have a little look at the tanks I've got down here. I can see that there's more live chat comments going in. I'll get right to you. Oh, we've got Chris that has joined us. Hello there. Hi, Chris. Thanks for coming along. We've got Dave. Evening. Hi. Thanks very much for coming along. Also, and Jeff, it's a bug poop gun. It's, yes. Yeah. If I could, I don't know if anyone has ever painted feces. I know that's a gross thing to say, but we paint vomit and bile and acid and blood and gore. Has anyone ever done poop? Maybe that should be a first for an Easy 8 workshop, but not tonight. Poop gun. So here is a box that I've got filled with some tank models. They are filled with ones that are painted or partially painted. These are all of the unpainted ones, the ones that are all built anyway, because I've still got loads more to get through, and I wanted to stick a bit of paint on them. Let me just get them off the top of this box here. There's loads. So many. Cool. Oh, right, so I've got the German mouse. This was a prototype. It never saw battle. It probably never would have because it was ridiculous. But it was given to me as a gift by Dad. Thanks, Dad. And I think it's a great thing to have just on the tabletop. You could use it as an objective. Can you destroy it? Can you protect it? Whatever. Or just as a really cool piece of terrain. It doesn't really have a dedicated paint scheme. I thought it'd be kind of cool because late war Stalingrad, it would be quite cool to do like Panzer Grey on it, and I think it would just kind of suit it. But I think actually the two prototypes, one was entirely made of wood, I think, and the other one had a hull that was made of metal, and then the turret was proxied with wood. That survives somewhere in a museum, I believe in Russia. I'm not entirely sure. Some of you guys do know. And I think it is painted up in their typical yellow camouflage colours. Do I take some artistic direction with it? Do I paint it wood? That's just one of the ones that's got to be painted. Don't have to paint it today. I've got other German vehicles. I like the German tanks. I think they're wonderful. I've got here a Stug 3. I've had this one for a while, just not got around to painting it. I was going to do this one up in Panzer Grey colours just to kind of give my tank some variety, but I think I'll just go with the yellow because I really like it. I've got a Panzer 4 short. I've also got painted up a Panzer 4 long. I just went to the tank museum with some of the community from Easy 8 a little while ago, and this is one of the tanks that I picked up because it was affordable and it's a lovely little model. They're very tight on the turret, and I think one of the things I might be doing today is just trying to ease that up a little bit, and that is simply widening the peg hole on them. So yeah, I've got those two to go. I've got another Panther. I say another one because one of the very first tanks I had for this scale was a Panther as well. This one is, because it's a different brand, different manufacturer, this is Vesda, ever so slightly different scale. They size up a little bit differently. This is actually slightly larger than the Flames of War one. I don't mind it being a slight difference in the size, even though they're the same model, they're both G. Or that actually could be a lie, looking at the turret manlet on this one. It was supposed to be a G. Yeah, maybe it's a D. Whatever, doesn't matter. The only problem with this one is that when it went together, I didn't quite push the tracks in place. So when it sits on the table, it does kind of have like a slight tipping or rocking motion, and that really bugs me because I'm a perfectionist. Yeah, it just really annoys me, and there's nothing I can do about it, so I just have to get over it. So I've got that one. I've got a Jagd Panther. Really like the Jagd Panther. It's a really cool tank. This one needs a little bit of corrective work on the cannon here. Not entirely sure how to go about that, but I think it might be get a lighter and just gently apply some heat to it, or a candle. I've tried doing the whole rub your fingers on it to get some friction in there. Not working. It did, but then it went back. So maybe you guys can help me with that one. And then I've got my two Soviet tanks here, the KV-1. I didn't really know much about the KV tanks until I got these, so I did a bit of research on them and I've been talking about them over at Facebook. The KV-1 is obviously the first of the models. It was a really good tank. It was obviously superseded by the T-34, which was generally considered to be one of the best tanks in the Second World War. It was so good that the Germans took some designs from it and created the Panther, which was then used to tackle the T-34 problem. They really liked this tank. They thought, how can we make it better? So they thought, go bigger or go home. And then they made the KV-2. Identical hull, has a tower block for a turret, with what I can only assume is a cannon that could quite literally blow the back end out of the whole world. So yeah, has a massive side profile. So I think that's probably why the T-34 did so well in comparison to it, because that's like shooting a house. And it is about the size of a house. It's just enormous. Put it beside the Panther here, I'm sure Stafford could tell you, you just can't quite believe how big it is. Yeah, that's right, that joke still hasn't gone away. So those ones there. I've got also a Firefly, going to do this one in British colours. I've got another Firefly, but I painted it, but I didn't put the extended back on the turret. It's actually a second piece to go on there, which is kind of one of the trademark things of a Firefly, because it's such a big cannon. It's a 17-pound anti-aircraft cannon. It was so big they had to rotate it sideways 90 degrees to get it in the turret, and they still had to cut the back out and stick an armoured section on the back just to fit it in there. In Water Tanker, it has a special rule slow. But I thought, why is it slow? So I went on to the Water Tanker, I call it Water Tanker, but it's just Water Tanker fan club page on Facebook, representing the ZZ8 on there, and I said, why is it slow? And he went, because it's a 17-pounder. It's really heavy and it slows down the tiny little vehicle. Also, the gun was really big, which made manoeuvring through terrain and things just that much more difficult. And that's how they used it as well, was by sticking it in the edge of a forest and shooting out from there, doing pop-up tactics. So yeah, big gun, heavy ammo, makes it slower. I'm going to do that in British colours. And then I've got two Stuarts here. I'm making a 135th version of this one, which I just put on hold for a little while because I had some other projects on the go. But it's virtually all built, that one. And obviously I've got these two little ones here to go. I think they're delightful little tanks, and they size up really small against something like the Panther here, because that is an enormous tank. I just can't quite believe how big it is. So yeah, I'm probably going to do those in Allied colours. The UK had them as well. I think they were generally with every country within the Allied forces, but I think I'm going to do these in in the American colours because I like the olive greens, and I do have a separate green for the British forces. Although all the greens did vary, depending on time and factories or whatever. But I do like to make my nations, different, so that there's just some appeal to it as well. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do the Soviet tanks tonight because I just don't have Soviet colours for them. Some could also argue that, given the current political climate at the moment, maybe doing Soviet tanks is probably in poor taste. But it's a hobby model show and representing history, so arguments either side for that one. I just don't have the paints, so I'm going to put those aside. I've got another box of Shermans with Firefly turrets in them as well if I wanted to, so I'm going to try and eventually make up squadrons of British tanks. Excuse me. And I'll probably have one Firefly per 4, because as much as the British wanted to use Fireflies in abundance, they didn't have that many. They wanted to have them in squadrons of 4, but what actually happened is that they had in their 4 tank squadrons 1 Firefly with them. So I'll probably get some Shermans, do 1 Firefly, 3 Shermans, or if I had some more Stuarts, I could even put like a Stuart with them, or even like a Matilda 2 or something like that as well. Matilda 2s are great. Got one of those as well, but she's all painted up. So that's what I'm going to do. Stafford's saying, all right. No, mate. No, it's fair game. So I'm going to get my paints out the drawer over here. Which ones? Let's start with... I'm going to start with some German camouflage. No, not German camouflage. That's not what I want. I want either German yellow, some Dunkelgelb. I'm not even going to put the effort in for the accent today, Chris. I'm so sorry, but Dunkelgelb. There you go. I've got some US drab, olive drab, obviously. And I've got some Panzer Grey, which I'm going to leave today, I think, unless you think that the mouse would look good in Panzer Grey. And I've also got from Ammo, because these ones here are by AK, Ammo, the Smart set for British 1939 to 45. Just a nice set of darker forest greens. And they're all modulation sets. I'm not going to go crazy with the modulation sets today because they're small tanks, there's so little detail, less is more, but it does offer me brightness scale. Generally, if you go smaller, you want to go just a little bit brighter. That's what I've heard, and it seems to work for me, so that's what I'm going to do. I will start with, I'm going to start with the Firefly. It's my only British tank I'm going to do today, so I'm going to start off with the British ones. Excuse me. Right, let's have a little look over here. Jeff says, rub the Panther on some sandpaper. Yeah, I could do, but do you not think that would take the tracks down at the bottom? I mean, it will take the tracks down at the bottom, but yeah, I could do. It's a solution, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. I could do it just primer red on here, or a combination of different colours. So like make the turret primer red or the hull primer red and do the turret a different colour. That's an option for sure. It's a big old thing, isn't it? Look at the size of it. Crazy. Yeah, the mouse in primer red. Yeah, I get it. Dave says you won't live it down, Staff. No, you won't. But to be fair, in Staff's defence, it is a big tank, and you don't fully stand in front of it. It's breathtaking. It's huge. So I've got here British olive drab, British olive service drab, I assume. I've got British 1939-42, khaki green. And I've also got